Welcome to Geeks Corner. I'm Mr. DAPs.
I'm Katie.
And you just saw a tease of what our game tonight is going to be.
The game.
The game. Tonight is going to have a game. We're going to talk about Epcot's really big barge and also Disney Investor Day. There is a lot to cover. And a magical moment that we've only seen a couple of times that involves snow at Disneyland. It is going to be a very fun show tonight. So if you would like to participate, what should they do, Katie?
You should, you're probably watching this in some capacity, but this is on YouTube. So what you should do is that you should go to the YouTube link and then type in the chat so that we can see it. You can also interact on Twitter, which is super duper fun. But if you want us to see it right now while we are doing the show, I suggest you go on the YouTube chat.
That is a very good idea. And tonight for the show, we're also going to be playing a game that we hope works. I mean, it'll work one way or the other. We just don't know how well this is going to work. Yeah. And this is called Guess the Moment. Is that the name of it? We'll call it Guess the Moment. I'm making this up as we go along.
Sure.
So as you saw at the beginning of the show, we had a screen that was up on the screen. Anyway, here is that screen, and you can see that we are playing, hopefully a little bit smoother as it goes forward, the Christmas Fantasy Parade from a few years ago. And the way this game is going to play is we want all of you to guess where, when we stop this video, so basically when we reach the end of the show, this didn't work out. You can't see
I can't believe it. I'm on YouTube.
Let's go back to that. Anyway, thanks, Mike. You want to guess where the parade will be when we get to the wrap-up portion of the show. So right before we end the show.
When we say that's all the time we have.
Yeah, that right before that part.
Yeah.
We are going to see where the parade is at. And we'll check in to see how far we're getting through the parade throughout the show. And
we have our own personal guesses, but we will not tell you.
Exactly. And so guess in the chat. And if you guess correctly, we will send you a prize.
Are we going to tell them what their fabulous prize is?
Should I tell them?
I think you should tell them, but give them some incentive.
It is the brand new DAPs Magic mug that nobody has yet. In fact, I don't even have one yet because it's not here yet for me to see. It was supposed to be here yesterday, and now it looks like it's going to be next week. So put your guesses in the chat. We will be watching them. Katie will help monitor them, and we will continue on with this show.
But put your guesses in now.
Put your guesses in now. That is correct. So guess where the parade will be in the chat. You can guess anytime in the next minute or two, maybe even 3 minutes.
Maybe
we'll
even
see.
5. Who knows?
So before we get into some of the topics for tonight, we thought it would be fun to have our weekly magical moment, our Christmas magic moment. And let's see if I can get this correct. Yes. So one of the things that we happened upon by accident was this very magical snow moment that happened at Disneyland. Was it 2 years ago?
It was a year ago.
It was last year? Okay. But it was really late. It was like 11 o'clock, 11:30, something like that.
I think this started 2 years ago.
Okay, that's where it happened. Okay, so we are going to show you a magical moment that we absolutely loved that isn't your normal snow moment on Main Street. And as we watch that, guess where the parade is going to end at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the holiday season is a wonderful time to discover surprise and wonder all around us, especially for the young at heart. From all of us here at Disneyland, we wish you and yours health, happiness, love, and peace throughout the season. Happy holidays, everyone.
And there was our magical moment of Christmas for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. This was happening every night after fireworks, which was really fun. I think we even saw it after a Phantasmic or something, if I remember correctly.
I remember us seeing it at very strange times because the first time we went to film it, there was some very strange issues I was having with my phone, and the entire audio was distorted.
That is true.
Yeah, that's why I remember that it was 2 years ago.
That is right.
It was a weird phone. No one, to this day, no one knows what was wrong with that phone.
Nobody knows what's wrong with that, Sean. Clocky, which Christmas tree float?
Yeah, there's a couple Christmas trees.
So we got Santa Claus float, Christmas tree float, depending on which one it is, rollerblading snowflakes. And where we're at in the parade right now is the toy soldiers are going by us right now.
Wow.
All right. With that, we are going to move into the show. And that means it is time for the Week in Geek. And we are starting this week off with Disney Investor Day, which was a really big day.
It felt like a D23 Expo.
It did. And
Right.
I was live blogging the thing. And I literally was glad they had breaks because I was like getting up and like exercising because I just needed to stretch.
We normally talk a lot throughout the day on a normal day. You guys speak a lot. I did not hear from Mr. DAPs for like 6 hours because there was so much going on during the Investor Day and then so much going on after the Investor Day that you had to do. And I was like, that's how you know it's a very, very busy news day.
It was, well, and I was just typing the whole time.
Yeah. Like you were.
I was just frantically trying to keep up. Okay, the one right before Santa, good guess, Clocky.
Okay.
Bailey, that's a good point. I think it might be Anna and Elsa. I don't remember actually which year I pulled. I actually pulled this so it would be the length of the show versus the length of, like, I wanted something that wouldn't be too predictable. Pixar float in the parade. How about we call that the Buzz Lightyear and
the Jesse.
Yeah, because there's Jesse, Buzz, and Woody will count for you, Mike.
Okay.
All right, cool. And we will see who ends up winning as we now see Mickey and Mrs. Mickey, Mrs. Claus, and the
and
Chip and Dale go by.
Chip and Dale.
Always fun to see on this Christmas fantasy. So for Disney Investor Day, there was a ton of information that came out. I'm curious in the comments, what was the thing that they were most excited about?
Yeah, tell us.
And then I'm going to pivot to you, Katie.
Because I have mine.
What were you most excited about?
Mine's kind of weird. I'm very excited that Hayden Christensen is coming back for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Tell me more.
Like I was saying earlier, Ahmed Best has come back to Star Wars, but not in a like storytelling format. He's in like that game show type role where he's hosting, and I'm glad he's come back to Star Wars in that capacity. Mm-hmm. But Hayden Christensen and Ahmed Best were bullied so much when they were in Star Wars, and they were treated so poorly by the fans. Which is weird because you look at it now and I can't imagine anything else. I agree. And I think that part of the issue with the prequels isn't, yes, the acting is an issue, but it's the way they were directed to act. And so I don't necessarily blame that on Hayden Christensen. I am so excited for him to come back. One, because I think that it's just very good that he's coming back to a role that I really like when people stick it to the haters. So I'm very happy to see him coming back. And two, I think that there's a very interesting opportunity for that storytelling of Vader between trilogies. And I'm curious too how that's going to interact with Obi-Wan doing his thing, Vader doing his thing. Like, where are they going to be? Like, are they going to intersect, or are they just going to be these kind of parallel paths? I was going to say, one on the light side, one on the dark side, which would be kind of cool. I hope it's parallel storytelling because it will take away from A New Hope if they do intersect. Yeah, totally. And it'll take away from that big lightsaber battle at the end of A New Hope. Kind of like, please don't kill me. Rogue One is a good movie. I just personally don't like it, but there are parts of Rogue One that did undermine 100%. A New Hope, especially the end. Which it's a really good action sequence. It is. But the way they timed everything, I'm not a fan of. The other thing I think is potentially, well, I actually, before I get into that,
I think it's funny that people complain about Hayden Christensen or Ahmed Best's performances, and you've got Luke whining about going to Tashi Station.
I just want to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
Yes. Like there's a lot of, or you know, I could hit the really holy grail and talk about the British accent that disappears.
I was about to.
And it's like, oh, we're okay with it because it's the original. And all of them were made by the creator. So in my head, it's like, who cares? It's his book. It's his story to tell.
I agree.
Anyway, yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be fun to see where they go with that. I'm curious to see how, if and how it connects with some of the things that happened in Rebels. And like, there's some really interesting things that they could do with that. And then I'm just going to assume that somehow it's going to connect to The Mandalorian as well.
I'm sure.
Because they're just connecting everything,
which that doesn't need to happen for it to be good storytelling.
Right.
It's fun. It
It
doesn't need to happen.
That is true, but they're getting better at it.
It is. It's less on the nose.
Yes. And I think that's also something that I'm pretty excited about too, is jumping forward to The Mandalorian. They announced that the Ahsoka show is absolutely happening. And
which is going to be good.
Oh, totally. But the other thing that I think almost I'm more excited about is Rangers of the New Republic, because Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, and Mandalorian all take place in the same time period.
Yeah.
And apparently the end of Rangers of the New Republic is going to be this huge event where all three of them come together.
And it's a very good timeline for Star Wars. Like, it's a good time frame to set Star Wars in my opinion. Because it's this very interesting empire supposed to be gone, but they're building new fleets. And I just think it's such an interesting, lawless time in Star Wars.
Well, and it'll be interesting too, is since I know this is your favorite Star Wars movie, is this big event leading into The Force Awakens?
I love The Force Awakens.
Which I think it's very possible. Like, it is that kind of like linchpin of like, this leads to what ends up happening in Force Awakens, which could be really cool.
I think that I'm a very odd bird in that The Force Awakens is my favorite Star Wars movie, period. But The Mandalorian is my favorite Star Wars canon. Like, I love the storytelling. I love everything about it. If
it's
those were
really
to
well done,
intersect somehow, I'd be happy.
Then the big question is do they pull John Williams in for some of the theme music?
I would
or
hope
something,
so.
Which would be super cool. I mean, assuming
that would make me emotional.
He's not really retired.
I thought you were going to say something else, and that there was fear in my eyes.
I do think one of the interesting things that came out of the Lucasfilm panel as well is they did break the news that there is another Indiana Jones for sure in production. Harrison Ford will be the only Indiana Jones, and this will be the last Indiana Jones movie with him.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I think those are all very good things.
I will confirm for you that it is the Frozen float, Bailey, and we've already reached it. So,
oh no.
Yes. Clocky would like you, Katie, to give the holiday specials some time to burrow into your heart.
Oh, okay.
For your favorite Star Wars.
I am still thinking about Lumpy.
Yeah, there you go.
So
there you go.
He does have a place in my heart.
Mike is asking, do you think they will give Ahsoka longer? I don't actually think so.
I don't think so
and
either.
Part of that was because
it didn't physically work, right?
Yeah, there was. Where did I see that? There's a video.
I don't know if you read the interview I sent you with Dave Filoni and
Rosario
Dawson.
What it was. I read it. Yeah, that's what it was. I was thinking I saw.
Which I can't remember who did the interview, but there's a very interesting interview where they asked Rosario Dawson and Dave Filoni the same questions, and they pieced together the interview. Very, very interesting. I also just really love that Dave Filoni gives a lot of love to Ashley and the character she created. Really, really big fan of that.
It was a great interview.
But they talked about how physically
it wasn't going to work.
Some of the things that worked in the animated series were not going to work in a live action, which I thought was fascinating. And so that's kind of why they changed a few things here and there about Ahsoka's physical appearance. It's just because some things work in animation that don't work in real life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's hop over to the animation studios. And there's a ton that's coming out there. We got to see more of Raya and the Last Dragon. I think this is going to be a really awesome movie. Encanto is the one that I think is the one that.
Well, Sir Lin-Manuel Miranda is involved.
Well, and we got to see a little bit of a clip of it, and I was hooked immediately.
Mhm.
And then the storyline is basically there's this magical place, of course, in Colombia where there's magical families,
I love that.
and all of the kids. I'm probably messing this up a little bit, but all of the kids in the family have magical powers except one, who turns out to be the one that has to save the magic for this place.
I like that.
Yeah, and I think it's and it's the place they live is called Encanto. Like that's where this all comes from. So like the superpower, the magical gifts can be super strength to healing to
that's cool.
random stuff, and so
Encanto sounds a bit like Coco in the
it kind of does have that sound about it. Like, but so the person without magic, the kid without magic, is the one that has to save the magic.
I think it's a really sweet story though.
Yeah.
I also like the underdog stories. I like the unexpected heroes. So I'm really excited about it.
The other one that really jumped out at me was Iwaju. I might be messing up how that's also,
okay.
But this is a science fiction series set in futuristic Nigeria.
Okay.
And it's made in collaboration with a Nigerian studio
I love
basically
that.
set themselves up and they said, hey, we want to be the new, like we want to beat Disney at what they do.
Wow.
And Jennifer Lee heard about this on a like the radio or something or on a news report. And so she called him up. It's like, hey, instead of trying to beat us, how about you work with us?
That's awesome.
And so I think this is going to be a really cool thing that I just like. I think it's going to be completely different than anything we've seen from Walt Disney Animation Studios, and it intrigues me.
I also
massively.
think it gives Disney a chance to tell uniquely Black stories, and in a way that's fun. Like in science fiction, you don't get to see Black voices heard in science fiction very often, which is part of why Nichelle Nichols was such a big deal in Star Trek: The Original Series. And to think it's been so long and we still don't have Black voices in science fiction, so I'm very, very excited about that.
Yep. I completely agree. Hopping on over to Walt Disney Studios, there's a ton coming out here. You've got Pinocchio, Hocus Pocus 2, Three Men and a Baby reboot.
Hocus Pocus 2 confirmed.
Cheaper by the dozen reboot.
Yes.
Sister Act 3 is now confirmed.
But what I am most excited about, I'm looking at it right now,
is Chippendale Rescue Rangers. This is interesting because it's a live action movie with CGI elements, and it's cartoons that live in a live action world.
Which I love.
Which is very, Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
You got John Mulaney and Andy Samberg.
I love them both.
Yeah. I think it's a brilliant choice for both of them, and the quirkiness and the humor of the Chipmunks are going to be awesome. I hope they play with their voices.
Yeah, no, I would hope
Make them
that.
sound like chipmunks.
But I think that both of those I think they're both very, very funny men. And I think that it's going to be amazing.
It's kind of almost a Robin Williams approach to the Genie, I feel like.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I hope that's how they do it, is they just let them play.
Yeah.
There's also a Peter Pan and Wendy show coming to Disney Plus as well. And perhaps one of the biggest stories of the day is that Disenchanted is coming, which is the sequel to Enchanted. And Amy Adams will be returning as Giselle.
Does this mean they finally put Enchanted on Disney Plus?
I don't know. I hope so.
I hope so.
It's going to be...
I'm waiting. Everyone's patiently waiting.
20th Century Studios actually is putting out some animated stuff, which I found interesting. We won't get into all of them, but the one that I'm most interested in is Night at the Museum.
Yes.
Like an animated Night at the Museum. Awesome. And then Disney also has Jungle Cruise, Cruella, Lion King, Little Mermaid. We heard more about the cast as well, which
I just love that Daveed Diggs is in it.
And as Sebastian, like what another unique take for it that will be a lot of fun.
I also think that Javier Bardem is a fascinating choice for King Triton.
Well, and when I think of Javier Bardem, I always think of James Bond, where he's a villain and he's terrifying. So it'll be interesting to,
His Rescue Rangers is going to be so good.
Yeah, I think it will be fantastic. The other, let's see. There's also had Marvel.
Yeah.
It was interesting because we saw more of WandaVision. I think it's going to be great. We're going to love it, whatever. We saw more of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Same thing. Great. It'll be whatever. Like they're just going to be, you're going to be solid. Loki is where it's at. Loki is going to be hilarious because it's almost like a spy thriller, like historical saga. Like I am completely intrigued by Loki.
on a funny note, I don't have a lot to add about Marvel, but I think it's very funny.
Mhm.
One of my baristas is a huge fan of Marvel. Like, he has a pair of Crocs dedicated that just has the little Marvel decorations on it.
Mhm.
He was the one texting me about all the Marvel announcements because he was so excited. This Investors Day apparently is how he found out that Endgame was on Disney Plus. He didn't know. He said, "Katie, how dare you not let me know that Endgame was on Disney Plus?" He watched it 4 times in one day. So Monir, you're not watching this, but I just think it's really funny.
We have made it to the princess unit.
Wow.
We are moving right along with the parade. That's a lot of fun.
Wow.
The other, What If is also coming up. That looks like it'll be really cool as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Massively. And
mainly because I'm excited about Peggy Carter.
But then don't forget, there's also Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special coming,
I hope that there's a Lumpy.
I think that will be, I'm sure there'll be something. Hopping over to Pixar, tons of stuff there as well. All of it, like almost, I think most of it was very unique stuff. Like Lightyear would be the closest, I think, to a sequel in terms of movies, but even that, it's an origin story. So it's,
and I think it's an interesting origin story.
Yeah, I think it's cool because it's a completely different, like I wouldn't call it a sequel or a prequel because it's actually a similar character, but not the same character, and so and familiar.
I'm really, really excited about it.
Doug Days looks cool. Cars looks cute. Win or Lose looks very intriguing.
Very, very excited about Win or Lose.
The one I'm most excited about is Turning Red.
I know.
Because it's a 13-year-old girl that when she gets too excited turns into a big red panda.
Which I relate to that.
And Domi Shi is directing this one.
I love Domi Shi.
I just think this one, of everything they've, like before this, I'd have been like, it's either Luca or Soul. I think they're going to be fantastic too. Soul is looking more and more to me like a weird take on Mr. Holland's Opus.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm 100% okay with that.
You
Luca just looks gorgeous, and I'm pretty sure everybody's going to want to go out and eat pasta and gelato after it. But I just think a kid that turns into a big red panda is hilarious. Well, and I'm curious why and how and what.
I think it's very interesting that it's related to the excited emotion. That's what I think is very funny about it, is because people don't necessarily associate being overexcited with something like this. It'd be like, oh, if she's too mad or she's too sad.
Well, and what's the plot?
I don't know, but I'd love to watch the antics for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Well, and it's going to be hard. It's going to make you cry. It's going to...
it's Domi Shi.
Domi Shi knows how to do this. So I really am looking forward to this. There's so much more we could cover with Disney Investor Day, but we're not going to.
We have to stop. We have to stop at some point.
We did do a live stream, Murray and I, the other day, so you can go check that out. And we went into depth on all of this, and it's up on our YouTube channel. But the other thing that we need to talk about is over at EPCOT. Actually, let's check where the parade is. Oh, there's Jesse. So if we end right now, Mike wins. But a really big barge is now in the World Showcase Lagoon.
Yeah.
And the part that I find interesting is it's one of 5 big barges.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a big barge.
It's a big barge.
What do you think about this, Kate? And apparently it'll be a fountain during the day and then a showpiece at night.
So I'm excited about it being a fountain during the day. But for right now...
Here's my question. Fountains are loud.
Fountains are loud.
If there's 5 of them...
Yes.
Are you even going to hear the area music?
Yeah, okay. So my issue with them is I want to be able to look across the World Showcase Lagoon.
Oh.
Currently, you cannot do that.
I think it got moved. It's over by Mexico now.
I know, but it's still like, if I'm sitting in Mexico, I want to look across the lagoon.
Well, you get to see a giant taco.
While I'm drinking an avocado margarita.
Yeah.
Wow. Festive. No, but like, right now, they're very big and they're very ugly. And they make me really sad to look at. I hope that they become visually more appealing. I just hope
they do what they did with Fountain of Nations.
Yes. I just hope that it's not we're sacrificing daytime views for a nighttime spectacular. I'm very, very concerned that that's it, because it was also a complaint about Illuminations is that 2:00 rolls around and now they're setting up illuminations, and the lagoon's not as pretty, and I don't know. The barges are just so big. They're just so big.
I have confidence in the Imagineers though, because
So do
look
I.
at what's come out in recent years, and all of it's been good. Like I can't say there's been any major misses.
It's a big trust the process moment.
Yep.
And I also, my other thing is that I trust their direction of EPCOT a lot. I think that EPCOT was kind of in rocky hands for a bit because people don't really understand EPCOT. But I think the Imagineers right now understand EPCOT. So I don't
and
think,
love it.
and I don't think that they would just do something like that and be like, we're just going to put these big, huge barges right in the World Showcase Lagoon and just leave them there. Like, I know they're going to have a plan for it. Just right now, I don't like looking at it.
Okay. I'm very curious. And in the release, they sent us, it talked about how this was like, they were going to be testing it. And I'm like, I'm curious how that's going to play out too.
Mhm.
What was interesting, I saw somebody posted a picture, and the one that is out right now is the Mexico one.
Mhm.
And I'm curious where the other ones are going to end up.
Yeah.
And that would just be something, I'm sure if we were walking around World Showcase right now and be like, oh, there's a place to moor it there, and a place like we probably figure that out. It's going to be interesting. And I'm very curious. Like, I think it's gonna be great once Harmonious is running.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and I think it'll be great once the fountains are running. I think that period in between might be a little bit weird. And it is even weirder to think that originally it was supposed to start 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like we were supposed to be
start
in
October.
Harmonious era right now,
Yeah.
which is very weird. And
I do really like that Steven made the joke that they are bringing the Waterworld show experience to Disney because it is the longest running show at Universal. And they said, you know what? It's been so successful. Let's bring Dryland to Epcot.
Yep.
That idea makes me laugh a lot.
that's a great
I'm
idea.
sorry. It's very funny. I just like to imagine Dryland, someone in the middle of the World Showcase Lagoon. We need to get you to see that show. It's a fun show.
They have to reopen it.
Well, we also have to go to Universal Studios.
That's also part of that's also part of the trick. Yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see how this progresses, because if you've got one of 5, and part of me is hoping I misread it, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. Like, that's, where do they all go? Like, they're big.
That's the big question that we ask ourselves before we go to sleep at night. Where do the barges go when they go to sleep?
Yeah. And I really do hope they have like daytime fountain shows like World Showcase or like Fountain of Nations, because I just think that would add something that's cool. Maybe not every 15 minutes, because if it's the entire World Showcase, that might get a little bit
I'd be like, please just
weird.
let me enjoy World Showcase. I miss Epcot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But there's a lot going on in the park, surprisingly, despite all that's not going on. And do you think the barges have names? They need to have names. You're absolutely right, Bailey.
Kevin, Bill, Bean, Steve, and Taco.
Okay, there you go. And unless they're just the nations that they're in front of.
Yeah, whatever. That's okay. You were being logical.
Well, I was just thinking, because they already have Mexico painted on one. So I'm like, are they going to have UK painted on another one, or Canada, I guess?
Well, I wanted to name one Kevin because I was inspired by Knots, naming everything Kevin.
Oh, that's good. And I was thinking from Up.
That's also fair.
Like double.
Kevin's a girl?
There you go.
Oh, those are good names too.
Jim, Jerry, Carol, Danny, Carl.
Those are good names.
Hey, Carl. All right. Let's see where the parade is. It is that time.
It's that time. Oh.
And it's not there.
Oh.
You can't see it.
I can see it.
I can see it. There we go.
Okay.
It is the dancers and the Christmas tree in front of Santa, which I believe...
Is that Clocky?
Clocky is our big winner.
Wow.
Clocky, you let us know in the chat if that was your guess. That was the one I counted for you. So, and one needed to be named Bargy McBargy Face.
That I forgot to honor Bodie McBoatface. I can't believe I forgot. I'm so sorry, Bailey.
That was
McBarge
good.
Face.
So congratulations, Clocky, for winning the first DAPs Magic new mug.
Yeah, I think we might do this again.
Yeah, I think we should.
Because this is fun.
Maybe we can even do a version of it for the Christmas show next week. We are still working on said Christmas show, so make sure you don't miss it next week. 9 o'clock, not 9:30, 9 o'clock. Don't
9
miss
o'clock.
it. And that is where, yep, Tree Before Santa. That was you. You won. But 9 o'clock next Tuesday night, we will have our Christmas show. There is going to be some really crazy things that we're going to do that we've never done before.
I'm scared.
But they're going to be cool.
I'm sure they're going to be cool.
I hope. Or they'll just be weird. Scrooge McBarge. I like that
That's
one
pretty
too.
good.
All right, Katie, we are running out of time tonight. What should people do
Well,
as they say goodbye to Santa?
You could go to dapsmagic.com, check out all the Disney and geek news as it happens. Subscribe to our mailing list on said website. I forgot the word for website all of a sudden. You could also find us on all of our social medias, which you can probably find at dapsmagic.com.
Sure hope so. Also, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and there's going to be a lot coming up on that too. We've got more live shows. We've got more stuff from Florida going up, and some other things from random things that we've picked up. But that is all the time we have for you this week. So we will see you around the corner.
Bye.